we won't see any names of big fishes here. And even in this particular case, we might see most of them walking free. What I'm trying to say is that it depends on how the police have collected their evidence. Now, if you want to link and place somebody at the scene of crime, especially when you collect digital evidence, you need to either have a consent from them to take their phone for downloading, or you need to have a warrant for that particular, and the warrant must stipulate that you want to download the phone and what type of communication are you looking for. So if that hasn't happened, then this case is going nowhere. But what I'm saying is we will never see the big guys, the big instigators, because like we heard from the commission that crime intelligence, they were caught with their pens down. So, SAPS, it's only there to be reactive. But the people who were supposed to be proactive was the intelligence. And when I'm talking about intelligence, I'm talking about state security together with crime intelligence.
And let's stay with that, because, I mean, the South African Human Rights Commission yesterday saying that police failed in their basic mandate to detect the planning and execution of the violent unrest and looting which devastated KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. And I remember there was an expert panel report as well, which was talking about the fact that police had information, but it did seem to be communication was a problem here. So firstly, does it surprise you that the Human Rights Commission is saying that they simply failed in this mandate?
Look, it doesn't surprise us. We've always been coming to the very same channel and even other media houses, for instance, and saying that, the intelligent and the normal detectives in SAPS, they are pulling in different directions. And, when you speak about issues like this, your chain is as good as its link. So if one link is broken on your chain, you can't pull out anything or pull anything for that matter. So what we are saying is, one can say when it comes to SAPS, I think we need to break it down to a point whereby, you get your normal detectives, you get your normal men in blue, and whom most of them, they are in the POP. Like with the POP, they did a great job. They were more reactive in running to the crime scenes. But to be proactive, that's where you needed the intelligence. Now, the intelligence is where was the state security? I always say that the first mistake that our honorable president has done is to move state security and micromanage it in his office, because he left a lot of members that were disgruntled, by the way. And those who were disgruntled, even though they get information, their morale, it's very low, to a point that many of these issues, they go unpunished. We can take, for instance, issues like, when you speak about state security, there was a burglary, and actually 2 burglaries in their office. Nothing has taken place or has been ventilated in that regard. You speak about the Chief Justice Office, the files were stolen and the office was broken into. So there is no proactiveness to a point that even a foreign intel can come into our country and cause panic to our citizens and say, at some time there will be a terrorist attack. Such issues domestically, under domestic branch of the state security, they were supposed to counteract them even prior, before they can even cause panic into our nation. And we will see a lot of such happening even in the future, because we don't have a proactive state security together with crime intelligence. But with SAPS, we applaud them. They did run to the scenes. They tried their best to come back. Even, the public order policing, they tried their best. They have improved. They've got the resources. But when you speak about counteracting, then we are lacking. And
I'm going to ask us just to pause for a second, because I do understand Athlenda is joining us for this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. The report yesterday painting a picture of under-resourcing and a lack of capacity in crime intelligence as well, saying that there's also been a breakdown in communication in the police between crime intelligence, the National Commissioner and the Minister of Police. This is, of course, all in the context of the July 2021 unrest. How is the SAPS, for starters, processing the findings that were released yesterday?
Well, very good evening, and thank you for the opportunity, Bongiwe. I think we have long acknowledged that at the time when the unrest erupted, we did not have the intelligence on the magnitude and escalation of the July unrest. A lot of lessons learned 3 years later. We are ensuring a more uniform and coordinated response in terms of putting together early warning systems in place, better coordination and planning. But what is also key is that there has been notable progress made where key milestones have been achieved following the preliminary report that was released. So we've worked on, crime intelligence. Crime intelligence was a big factor. You will recall that during the unrest, there was instability. We had a vacuum of leadership, particularly in the crime intelligence environment. Since then, we have appointed a permanent divisional commissioner. There is a deputy national commissioner for crime detection that has been permanently appointed, in which the crime intelligence unit reports to. But when we are looking at the successes that have been achieved of late, we see there is great improvement in terms of the mandate of the crime intelligence of detecting, collecting information on crime, which informs and assists in police operations.
So, Athlenda, it's one thing, and even as, Calvin has admitted that the SAPS does seem to be making some improvements, to try and improve the situation. But the big question is, where are the big names we were promised as the instigators of the July 2021 unrest? We keep seeing members of the community, but where are the big names?
Stage, you will recall that more than 5,000 suspects were arrested during that period. 505 of those suspects that were arrested for various crimes and so on have been found guilty. Now, what you are referring to is the cases that are being handled by the DPCI, the Hawks, where we've seen at least 68 people that were arrested, some of them instigators, where they were mostly charged for incitement to commit violence and so on. We are continuing with those particular investigations. 63 of them are appearing in court quite soon. I think they were supposed to appear this week and so on. So we are quite confident that we will get to the bottom of who was responsible for this particular unrest.
All right, so listening to what you're saying, then we can expect the big names we were promised, because we're not dreaming about the big names we were promised.
Well, at this stage, like I've indicated, investigations do take time at times. But what is key is that at the end, the truth will come out to know who was behind the July unrest.
Yeah. Calvin, this is not the first time. We even are battling with issues around crime intelligence, and listening to Athlenda and how she says there's been quite a lot of effort to try and ramp it up. But you think of, the failures of crime intelligence laid bare in the Marikana Commission following the Marikana massacre as well. You think about that high panel review report that was looking into state security intelligence gathering and the politicization thereof. You listen to what came out of the Zondo Commission of Inquiry around the, state security, the intelligence gathering and all of that. Now the July 2021 unrest, and we are here with all the issues that relate to it, especially as far as crime intelligence is concerned. Looking at it right now and all the efforts that the SAPS is also saying are being put in place, are the politics out of crime intelligence now?
No, look, the politics are not out of crime intelligence, and there are a lot of fictions that are even having masters in politicians, where they serve the interest of certain politicians. I just want to make it a point so that we are on the same page. Some of us, we work as informants for the police, so we even know the politics and issues that are now rampant even in the crime intelligence, whereby there are disputes about, rewarding us with good information on a 3,000 rand type of a reward, whereby, there are so many red tapes, to get your money and the likes. But there are many members who are disgruntled And those members, once they are left vulnerable, they don't have proper leadership, then we tend to have a problem in the crime intelligence. And that's exactly what we are sitting with. There are a lot of fiction in crime intelligence, and most of them, even some, they serve even politicians for that matter. And information, once it's received, is not properly ventilated. Well, some it is, but most of it is not. I mean, you look at the recent drug bust in most of our entry points, where millions of rands are being mentioned and worth of drugs, but they say it's intelligence driven. But where are the arrests? Why don't they arrest the people who, if they know that intelligence was there, obviously there was a budget, it was a project, a covert operation, infiltration, and the likes. But, there's none of those arrests. And this even leads to most of our SAPS detectives, and good ones as well, to a point that they even leave the force and then they join private securities. And it even leads to see massacres like your Makado, whereby an innocent maid and an innocent garden boy was killed in line of eradicating criminals. And they say it's an intelligence driven. So there is no intelligence. They're serving certain purpose of which we don't know of, but they need to fix the structure from the leadership.
Athlenda, I cannot let you go without responding to that.
Well, firstly, the SAPS is a political organization, but it's also very important to highlight that 99% of our successes are emanating from the crime intelligence environment. Like I've indicated, crime intelligence informs operations. Our operations are not haphazard. We plan, we coordinate, we execute. The success that the gentleman is referring to was a crime intelligence driven operation where 19 people were taken down. Police approached the house. They informed that they are the police and they are there obviously to work, and they started shooting at and so on. So in that particular operation, we saw 19 people taken down. But in terms of our Operation Shanela operations, they are coordinated. We've launched Operation Shanela since the 8th of May. More than suspects arrested for various crimes. Their cases are before various courts and so on. So we are quite encouraged that, yes, although there is a lot of work to do, but crime intelligence is on the ground. You will see with the successes, especially with the drugs that are being seized, that are coming into the country through the harbors. It's intelligence information that is able to intercept and take down those particular criminals and register those particular successes. So yes, it's a work in progress. There's still that reconfiguration of the crime intelligence environment, but so far all is going according to plan. We were able to get the necessary equipment that will allow and enhance our crime intelligence techniques and expertise and so on. But most importantly, capacity, and especially within the POP environment. In the last 2 years, I think when the issues and findings of the July unrest report surfaced, the main issue was that there were not enough members on the ground to contain the situation. In the last 2 years, we have recruited and trained more than 20,000 police officers to assist us to prevent and combat crime. 5,000 of those officers have been trained in crowd management, which is your public order policing unit. And we are hoping that as we get more resources and more funds from government, we will be able to train and recruit and train more police officers to ensure that we heighten police visibility, to ensure more personnel on frontline policing services so that we are able to ensure the safety and security of everyone. But most importantly, to ensure that the incidents of the July unrest don't happen again. But what is also key, drawing lessons from a particular incident, is community participation. I think communities really need to take a stand against criminality in communities, they need to take a stand against mobilization, because part of the reasons why the July unrest unfolded the way it is, it was because of the mobilization of community members, innocent community members that were mobilized to go and loot and cause destruction. So if communities can also take a stand against the wrongdoing in the society, they can really assist us as police to fight crime.